across 17,000 documented civilizations spanning the Milky Way, only one species had ever evolved to be entertained by their own extinction scenarios. The others found this deeply concerning. They watched dramatizations of their own demise during leisure hours, announced Chief Observer Trik-Tsalin, his throat sacs deflating with each syllable, for enjoyment. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the nervous flutter of appendages. Council members, representing the 12 most advanced civilizations, fidgeted in their gravity-adjusted pods, while holographic displays cycled through scenes from human entertainment, zombies devouring screaming victims, asteroids obliterating cities, and viruses transforming populations into corpses. Perhaps they misunderstand what they're seeing, suggested Representative Morovex of the Cepheid consciousness, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with confusion. Our translators might be malfunctioning. Chkazin gestured to his research team. We've triple-verified our cultural interpretation matrices. The humans call this genre horror. They pay currency to experience simulated terror. Representative Clocks, whose aquatic species had developed technology while avoiding all forms of conflict for 9 million years, extended a trembling tentacle toward the display. And these slasher films feature members of their own species hunting and exterminating others for entertainment? Correct, replied Tuxscalin. They deliberately expose themselves to scenarios designed to trigger their fear responses, then discuss which elements were most effectively terrifying. The council chamber fell silent, except for the soft whir of environmental systems maintaining distinct atmospheric bubbles for each representative. The silence stretched until broken by the unexpected sound of rhythmic clicking, laughter, from Representative Dro-Magnon of the Silicon Collective. "What amuses you?" demanded the council elder, whose species communicated primarily through pheromone bursts that conveyed annoyance. Dro-Magnon's crystalline form refracted light in dancing patterns. Has anyone noticed the evolutionary implications? Most sentient life develops entertainment that soothes, that confirms safety and stability. These humans deliberately manufacture stress responses. They're building psychological immunities. The research coordinator, a dour methane breather named Vox Pulmonum, expanded her chest cavity dramatically. There's more. They tell their offspring frightening stories before sleep cycles, tales of monsters, predators, and danger. They call them fairy tales and bedtime stories. Representative Killock's skin blanched to translucent. They deliberately frighten their young. That violates every principle of nurturing we've documented across the galaxy. And yet, countered Dro-Magnus, their children emerge stronger. When we connect these practices to their advancement speed, the correlation becomes clear. They're psychological extremophiles. The council elder released a pheromone burst that translated roughly as concentrated skepticism. Elaborate? Orcs Pomnim activated a new display showing fitness trackers, roller coasters, and spicy food. They voluntarily consume chemical irritants that cause pain signals for gustatory pleasure. They strap themselves into devices designed to simulate deadly falls. They deliberately exhaust their muscles until they break down, requiring repair. How have they not driven themselves extinct? Asked Representative Morovex. That's what makes them remarkable, answered Tijkalin. Most species seek comfort. Humans seek challenge. Most species avoid discomfort. Humans manufacture it. The council elder's antennae twitched with agitation. And your recommendation? Tsalin exchanged glances with his research team before responding. We believe direct contact would be premature. The humans might interpret our caution as weakness. We should continue observation until we understand the full implications of their psychological makeup. I disagree, Dro-Magnus's crystalline structure pulsed. Their entertainment provides insights into their greatest fears. which also reveals their self-perceived weaknesses. This information could prove tactically advantageous. Tactical advantages? Quarok sputtered through his blowhole. Are you suggesting exploitation? We're scientists, not conquerors. Correction, we're survivors, Dromagnon replied. And survivors evaluate threats. The council elder released a calming pheromone mixture. We'll continue surveillance, but I want deeper analysis. If humans entertain themselves with terror, what does that reveal about their threat assessment capabilities, about their psychological resilience? Vox Pullman nodded gravely. There's one more finding you should know. The humans have a phrase for catastrophic events that might destroy their civilization. She paused, ensuring the translation would be precise. They call them Tuesday. A specific day in their time measurement system? Asked Morovex. No, replied Vox Pulmanum. It's their way of saying such events are unremarkable. They've normalized extinction-level threats. The council chamber erupted into alarmed communications, flashing appendages, pheromone bursts, electromagnetic pulses, and harmonic vibrations, all conveying variations of the same sentiment. What kind of species evolves to face oblivion with a shrug? The observation team departed, leaving behind a troubled council, contemplating creatures who found recreational value in confronting their deepest fears. No other species in the galaxy had developed such a trait, and that fact terrified them more than any horror film ever could. They brought a device aboard our monitoring station, announced junior observer Nephrim, whose elongated forelimbs trembled slightly as she manipulated the holographic display for the council's emergency session. The human diplomatic team requested permission to show us something they call cultural context materials. The council elder's compound eyes swiveled toward the communication feed. And you permitted this without authorization? The device contained no detectable weapons systems or biological agents, Nephrim explained, mandibles clicking nervously. Our scanning protocols registered it only as an information storage and display unit. What did they show you? Demanded Representative Kulok. Nephrim's exoskeleton flushed a deeper blue. Stories. Visual narratives about hypothetical contact scenarios between humans and non-terrestrial intelligence. The holographic display flickered as sample footage began playing, scenes from human entertainment depicting first contact scenarios. The council chamber grew unnaturally quiet as they watched aliens in human fiction dissecting terrified subjects, harvesting organs, conducting experiments, and enslaving populations. These are their expectations of us? Whispered Morovex, her bioluminescent patterns dimming to almost nothing. They expect torture and vivisection? And yet they came anyway, noted Dromagnon, crystalline structure pulsing with something resembling admiration. Despite anticipating these outcomes, they voluntarily initiated contact. Scarlin expanded his throat sacs in a gesture of analytical consideration. Their approach suggests two possibilities. Either they possess weapons or defenses they believe would counter such threats, or they're clinically insane, interrupted Quokes. Perhaps both, suggested the council elder. Continue the report. Nephrim activated a secondary display. After showing these scenarios, the human delegation asked us why we've been observing Earth for 73 of their years without initiating contact. They then displayed these documents from their intelligence agencies. The display showed thousands of human records detailing observations of council monitoring devices, complete with surprisingly accurate assessments of galactic technology. They've been aware of us? Morovex's patterns flickered with alarm. Not just aware, corrected Skitsalin. They've been studying our observation methods while pretending ignorance. The implications are unsettling. Representative Dromagnen's crystalline laughter filled the chamber again. Don't you see? They've been performing for us. They detected our presence and began showcasing their resilience. Those horror entertainments, they're propaganda designed to make them appear psychologically intimidating. That doesn't explain their historical entertainment, countered Vox Pulmonem. These patterns extend back before they had technology capable of detecting our presence. The council elder's antennae vibrated with impatience. What did you tell them when they asked why we haven't initiated contact? Nephrim's exoskeleton blanched. The diplomatic truth that we were assessing compatibility with galactic protocols. And their response? The human representative smiled, showing teeth, which their records indicate signifies either aggression or amusement, and said, We figured you were scared. The chamber erupted into dissonant communication bursts before the council elder restored order through a powerful pheromone release. We need deeper understanding, declared the elder. Beyond their entertainment, their mythology may provide better insights into their psychological foundation. Vox Pulmonem activated a comparative display. Most species develop creation myths featuring nurturing, protective deities who designed comfortable environments. Human mythology consistently features capricious, often cruel deities who created imperfect worlds requiring constant struggle. Their dominant religions preach perseverance through suffering, added Turkstullen. Their philosophers embrace concepts like, that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Mathematically impossible, scoffed Curox. Non-lethal damage accumulates over time. Their own medical science confirms this. You're being literal about a psychological concept, said Drew Magna. The sentiment reveals their core belief. Adversity itself has value. What most concerns me, interjected Schizolin, is their relationship with their own extinction. All 17,000 documented civilizations develop technology to ensure species survival. Humans develop technology despite knowing it might cause their extinction. The display shifted to show human nuclear weapons, climate change data, artificial intelligence research, and biological engineering. They created planet-killing weapons during their primitive development phase, observed Morovex, and kept building them. They continued atmospheric carbon saturation even after identifying the consequences, noted Keelock. They develop artificial intelligence with minimal safeguards, added Dromagnon. And yet, concluded Zeb Zolin, they persist. Not through careful risk management like every other successful species, but through what they call muddling through, a process of creating problems, facing crises, finding imperfect solutions, and somehow emerging stronger. The council elders' pheromones shifted to a pattern indicating deep concern. You're suggesting their chaotic approach offers evolutionary advantages our more careful species lack? I'm suggesting, Koselki replied carefully, that their relationship with existential risk makes them fundamentally unpredictable. They don't fear extinction. They romanticize being the ones who overcome it. Nephrim manipulated the display to show human space exploration history. They sent living beings into space before they could guarantee their safe return. Their early cosmonauts and astronauts accepted 20% mortality risks as reasonable. The chamber remained silent as the council processed this information. Finally, Representative Morovex's bioluminescent patterns formed the symbolic representation for dangerous revelation. We've been asking the wrong question. Not whether humans are compatible with galactic civilization, but whether galactic civilization is prepared for humans. Perhaps, suggested Dromagnon, with crystalline facets glinting. We should ask them directly. After all, they've requested formal diplomatic exchange. The council elders' appendages performed the gesture, indicating reluctant agreement. Prepare a controlled environment for limited interaction. Select representatives with the most advanced psychological defense training. As the council adjourned, Teskzonid remained, studying the human entertainment samples with newfound understanding. These weren't just stories. They were psychological vaccination programs deliberately exposing humans to fear so they could function when facing actual threats. No wonder they advanced so quickly. They were the only species that treated comfort as stagnation rather than success. The observation deck of Station Epsilon 9 hummed with carefully calibrated atmospheric processors as they cycled through 17 distinct gaseous mixtures every 90 seconds. What most species considered an engineering marvel, humans apparently regarded as merely adequate ventilation, another disturbing data point in the Council's expanding file on terrestrial abnormalities. The diplomatic suite reconfigures according to biological requirements of each delegate, explained Station Commander Zoth Petar. Her exoskeleton gleaming under the spectrum-shifting illumination designed to accommodate diverse visual organs. Temperature, gravity, light wavelengths, all adjust automatically to optimal parameters for each species. Fascinating, remarked the lead human diplomat, a copper-skinned woman whose silver-streaked hair framed a face etched with expression lines that council xenopsychologists were still struggling to interpret. We have similar technology, though ours requires more manual adjustment. The station commander's antennae twitched, a micro-expression of disbelief that her species rarely displayed during official functions. The human claim was transparently improbable. Council intelligence confirmed Earth possessed no comparable environmental manipulation systems. "You're wondering if I'm lying," the human said, with a disarming display of teeth that preliminary studies indicated signified either impending aggression or its bizarre opposite. "I'm not. Our technology differs fundamentally from yours. We don't adapt environments to biology. We train biology to adapt to environments." Commander Zothpa's translator produced an awkward pause, the universal indicator that it had encountered a conceptual framework with no direct equivalence across languages. "You modify yourselves instead of your surroundings?" she finally asked. "Precisely," the human confirmed, gesturing to her four companions. "A sampling of terrestrial biodiversity that the Council had insisted represented adequately diverse phenotypes for initial contact. My colleague from the Northern Federation practiced cold exposure therapy to adapt to sub-zero temperatures. Our oceanic representative can hold her breath for 7 minutes. The equatorial specialist can regulate his body temperature in extreme heat. Voluntary biological stressors as adaptation technique," muttered Skalin, who had entered silently through the methane-rich side chamber. "Consistent with entertainment patterns." The 5 humans turned simultaneously toward the new arrival, their synchronized movement triggering subliminal threat assessments among the Council security personnel. The dark-skinned human with intricate patterns inscribed into his scalp stepped forward. "High Observer Tskatsalin," he acknowledged, using the correct formal title without introduction. "Your analysis of our horror entertainment was particularly insightful, though you missed its primary evolutionary purpose." Tskzalin's throat sacs expanded slightly, the equivalent of a raised eyebrow. "You've accessed Council research documents." The humans exchanged glances, containing communication signals too subtle for even the advanced Council monitoring systems to decode. "Your encryption is impressive," offered the copper-skinned diplomat with another tooth display. "But pattern recognition remains one of humanity's specialized evolutionary adaptations. Given sufficient data density, we identify structures in apparent chaos." The station commander's exoskeletal plates clicked in the sequence indicating urgent communication request. Within microseconds, Skotsalin received a priority alert. Council intelligence confirmed their secure networks had experienced precisely targeted intrusion attempts originating from Earth for the past 46 standard cycles. "You've been monitoring our communications," Skotsalin stated rather than asked, his voice modulations carefully regulated to prevent displaying the alarm cascading through his neurology. "Just as you've been monitoring ours," replied the human diplomat, without apparent concern. 73 years of observation warranted reciprocity. The chamber's atmospheric composition briefly destabilized as multiple council representatives released involuntary biochemical signatures indicating distress. The security systems compensated immediately, but the momentary fluctuation revealed more than any council member would have voluntarily disclosed. "Perhaps," suggested Representative Dromagnon, entering through the silicon-optimized portal, his crystalline structure refracting light in patterns that communicated both caution and curiosity to those capable of interpreting photonic language. "We should acknowledge the exchange of information has been mutual, though unofficial. This meeting merely formalizes existing relations." "A diplomatic assessment," agreed the copper-skinned human. "We propose transition from mutual surveillance to mutual cooperation." And Skotsalin signaled for the formal diplomatic protocols to commence. The chamber's central platform reconfigured into a 17-sided geometric arrangement with appropriate environmental bubbles for each species. The human delegation, remarkably, requested no special accommodations despite the station's gravity exceeding Earth normal by 22%. "The Galactic Council welcomes Earth's representatives," intoned the council elder, whose entrance had been deliberately unmarked by ceremony, a subtle psychological tactic to establish dominance that the humans appeared not to notice. "We acknowledge your civilization has achieved the technological benchmarks required for preliminary contact protocols." "Thank you, Elder," responded the lead human diplomat. "Though we're curious why the conventional benchmark for contact is spacecraft capable of bypassing relativistic limitations, yet your observation protocols begin at primitive radio transmission stages." Another ripple of biochemical indicators permeated the chamber as council representatives processed this unexpectedly direct challenge to procedures no newly compacted species had ever questioned. The council elder's antennae performed the subtle motion indicating strategic recalibration. "Observation allows assessment of compatibility with galactic civilization without risking cultural contamination." "Or perhaps," suggested the human with the oceanic adaptation specialization, her gill implants visibly pulsing beneath translucent dermal patches, "observation allows established civilizations to maintain technological advantages while assessing potential competition." The chamber's atmospheric scrubbers worked overtime, processing the biochemical equivalent of uncomfortable silence. "We're not here to challenge council procedures," the lead diplomat clarified, though her micro-expressions suggested otherwise to those trained in human paralinguistics. "We're here because both our civilizations face a novel situation requiring collaborative approaches." "Elaborate," commanded the elder. The humans activated a holographic projection displaying anomalous readings from the galaxy's outer quadrant, readings that matched classified council sensor data with disturbing precision. "Something previously unencountered is entering the galaxy," explained the dark-skinned human specialist. "Our astronomers detected gravimetric distortions inconsistent with known phenomena. According to your own restricted assessment reports, which we've accessed, your scientists reached similar conclusions independently." Representative Quolox, whose aquatic species communicated partly through controlled vascular pigmentation, flushed with patterns indicating extreme alarm. "You admit to espionage during first contact proceedings?" The humans displayed synchronized tooth expressions unmistakably indicating amusement rather than aggression. "We admit to pursuing relevant information through available channels," corrected the copper-skinned diplomat. "Just as you extracted biological samples from our planet without formal permission for 73 years. The council elder released a carefully measured pheromone burst that translated approximately to "strategic de-escalation required." "The anomaly concerns all spacefaring civilizations," the elder acknowledged. "What precisely are you proposing?" The humans projected expanded schematics for a joint research station at the galaxy's edge, detailed engineering specifications that incorporated both Council and Earth technologies in configurations neither civilization had previously implemented. "A collaborative research platform," explained the fifth human, whose pale complexion contrasted with vibrant crimson facial hair. "Our propulsion systems integrated with your sensor arrays. Our adaptive environmental technologies with your stability frameworks, each contributing complementary advantages." Drone Magnan's crystalline structure emitted the frequencies indicating intellectual appreciation. "The design incorporates redundant systems following different operational principles. If one fails, the other continues functioning through alternative mechanisms." "Precisely," confirmed the red-hailed human. "Different evolutionary approaches create different failure points. Together, we reduce total system vulnerabilities. An engineering principle that extends beyond technology," added the copper-skinned diplomat. "Our civilizations evolved different approaches to existential threats. The Council prioritized threat elimination through controlled environments. Humanity prioritized threat adaptation through controlled exposure." Sekeldin's throat sacs expanded in the configuration, indicating significant realization. "Your horror entertainment serves this function. Controlled exposure to fear stimuli, among other adaptations," acknowledged the human. "We inoculate ourselves against existential dread through simulation. We tell our children monsters exist, then teach them monsters can be defeated. We imagine worst-case scenarios, then devise solutions." "A chaotic approach," observed the council elder, antennae signaling skepticism. "Our evolutionary paths prioritized systematic threat reduction through environmental control." "Different strategies for different planetary conditions," responded the oceanic specialist. "Your homeworlds permitted environmental manipulation. Earth required biological adaptation. Neither approach is inherently superior, but they are complementary when facing novel threats." The subtext hung unspoken in the carefully regulated atmosphere. What if the galactic anomaly required adaptability rather than stability? Representative Culox extended a skeptical tentacle toward the schematics. "Your proposal represents unprecedented technological integration. The security implications alone would be significant," interrupted the dark-skinned human, "if either civilization were capable of operating the other's systems effectively. But your neurology cannot interface with our intuitive control protocols any more than ours can directly process your biochemical command structures. Collaboration requires mutual vulnerability," added the copper-skinned diplomat. "Which brings us to the real purpose of this meeting. Not merely technological exchange, but psychological assessment." The council representatives exchanged glances, containing layers of communication inaccessible to human perception. "Clarify," demanded the elder. "You've been studying humanity to determine if we represent a threat to galactic stability," the human stated bluntly. "We understand the concern. Our psychological profile differs fundamentally from established council species. We embrace risk. We seek challenges. We transform threats into opportunities through methods your civilizations evolved specifically to avoid." Tekzalin's throat sacs contracted in the pattern indicating profound unease. You perceive this as advantage? We perceive it as difference, corrected the human. One that complements your evolutionary strategy. You excel at creating stable systems resistant to anticipated threats. We excel at adapting rapidly to unanticipated threats. The galactic anomaly requires both capabilities. The Council Elder's antennae performed the subtle motion requesting data verification. Within moments, the station's computational systems confirmed the anomaly's characteristics exceeded standard response parameters by orders of magnitude. You believe your adaptability provides unique advantages when facing this phenomenon, asked the Elder. We believe combined approaches outperform either in isolation, replied the human diplomat. Your civilizations maintain stability across millennia. Ours transforms crisis into advancement within generations. Together, we might manage challenges neither could address independently. The chamber's environmental systems registered shifting biochemical indicators as council representatives calculated risk assessments, potential benefits, and civilization-level implications. The proposed research platform would require council approval through established protocols, the Elder finally stated. Such procedures typically require multiple deliberation cycles. The anomaly's approach vector indicates 14 months until preliminary contact with inhabited systems, countered the red-hamed human specialist. Deliberation cycles must accommodate external timelines. Another silence filled the chamber, this one heavy with unacknowledged recognition. The Council's deliberative processes, optimized for stability rather than speed, might prove maladaptive when facing rapidly evolving threats. We'll establish accelerated assessment protocols, conceded the Elder. Begin preliminary data exchange regarding the anomaly while the Council evaluates broader cooperation frameworks. The human delegation displayed synchronized expressions conveying something between satisfaction and amusement. We anticipated this outcome, admitted the copper-skinned diplomat, and prepared accordingly. Our vessel contains completed technical specifications and adaptation protocols ready for implementation. You assumed council approval? Kalok's skin flushed with chromatic patterns indicating indignation. We calculated probable response parameters based on logical self-interest, corrected the human, and prepared accordingly. The materials include security verification protocols meeting council standards. As the delegation prepared departure protocols, Tskiternin approached the copper-skinned diplomat with communication frequencies set to confidential exchange parameters. Your species anticipated not only our response, but our psychological processing methods, he observed quietly. You've been studying us more comprehensively than our models predicted possible. The human's expression shifted to something more genuine than the diplomatic veneer maintained during formal proceedings. Just as you've been studying us, she acknowledged, though you've fundamentally misunderstood what you observed. Enlighten me, invited Tskiternin, genuine curiosity overwhelming diplomatic caution. You perceive our comfort with risk as evolutionary advantage, the human explained. But it wasn't choice, it was necessity. Earth's competitive development conditions required adaptive responses. We envy your stability as much as you envy our adaptability. Tskiternin's throat sacs contracted in the configuration indicating profound re-evaluation. Yet you leverage this perception. Of course, confirmed the human, with another tooth display. Definitely amusement this time. Diplomacy requires understanding how others perceive you, then utilizing those perceptions strategically, another adaptation forced by necessity. As the delegation departed, leaving council representatives processing implications of humanity's unexpected psychological sophistication, Dromagneton approached Tsux with crystalline facets arranged in the configuration indicating private communication. They're transforming our observation process into collaborative advantage, noted the crystalline entity, converting potential conflict into mutual benefit. They are standard approach to threats, agreed Tizkarlen. They don't eliminate challenges, they repurpose them. A fundamentally different relationship with adversity than any council species developed, which raises uncomfortable questions about evolutionary optimization, added Dromagnon. 17,000 documented civilizations evolved through almost identical processes. Stability through environmental control, yet humans achieved comparable technological advancement through opposing methods. Adaptability through environmental engagement. The true experiment, concluded Stalin, isn't whether humans can integrate with galactic civilization, it's whether galactic civilization can incorporate human adaptability without compromising its stability foundations. The observation deck's atmospheric composition stabilized as biochemical indicators normalized. Council representatives achieving emotional regulation through their species' various techniques. Yet beneath the restored equilibrium pulsed recognition of fundamental disruption. A species that perceived crisis as opportunity had entered galactic civilization. As the human vessel departed, their proposed research platform schematics remained displayed in the chamber, a physical manifestation of the philosophical challenge they represented: stability and adaptability, control and engagement, different evolutionary strategies converging to face a common threat. The Council would deliberate, analyze, and calculate as they always had. The humans would experiment, adapt, and transform as they always had. And the galactic anomaly approached, indifferent to either methodology. The private council antechamber hummed with environmental systems working overtime to process the biochemical indicators of extreme agitation. 6 hours had passed since the human delegation departed, leaving behind their proposal for joint exploration of the galactic anomaly. Along with undeniable evidence, they had been monitoring council activities far more successfully than anyone had anticipated. "This changes our strategic position entirely," declared Moravex, her bioluminescent patterns cycling through warning colorations. "They've neutralized our information advantage." "Not merely neutralized," gurgled Qualox through specialized respiratory apparatus. "They've been allowing us to believe we maintain surveillance superiority while systematically assessing our capabilities." The council elders' antennae vibrated with rarely displayed agitation. "We must determine whether humans represent an existential threat to galactic stability." Unexpectedly, Tzutzkalin emitted the pheromone signature indicating formal disagreement, a nearly unprecedented action toward an elder. With respect, this reaction precisely demonstrates why humans unsettle us so profoundly. We perceive their adaptability as threatening because it differs from our evolutionary path. "Explain," commanded the elder, antennae now perfectly still, in the posture signifying dangerous attention. "Every council species evolved through threat elimination." Tskutjen expanded his throat sacs for emphasis. "We removed predators, stabilized environments, developed technology to insulate ourselves from natural selection pressures. We achieved dominance by controlling our surroundings. As all intelligent life must," Quill Arx interjected. "No," countered Dromagnon, crystalline facets aligning in the configuration indicating profound realization. "Humans evolved through threat engagement. They maintained predator-prey dynamics within their societies. They thrived within unstable environments by becoming adaptability specialists rather than stability architects." The chamber resonated with subsonic vibrations as multiple representatives signaled distress. "Are you suggesting their approach is superior?" demanded Representative Hazuk of the collective mycelia, fungal networks pulsating with indignation. Not superior, corrected Tatskzalin. Different. Complementary. Their psychological framework embraces uncertainty in ways ours cannot. Damn it, challenged the elder. Cannot without fundamental restructuring, clarified Skitsamen. Our success depended on creating predictability. EV Pulmanem adjusted environmental controls, introducing a calming compound to moderate the increasingly agitated biochemical signals permeating the chamber. The humans know they are different, and they've weaponized this knowledge. Their diplomatic strategy deliberately showcased their comfort with risk, she continued. They admitted monitoring our communications not because they had to, but because they wanted us to understand they function effectively within information asymmetry. A psychological demonstration, agreed Dre Magnum, but to what end? The council elder released the pheromone signature indicating recognition of unwelcome truth. They're offering an arrangement that leverages our different evolutionary strengths. We provide stability and accumulated knowledge. They provide adaptability and crisis management. They need us, realized Moravec, luminescent patterns stabilizing. Despite their adaptability advantages, they recognize the value of our approach. And we need them, added Tisxorlin quietly. The galactic anomaly represents an entirely novel phenomenon. Our traditional methodologies have proven insufficient for analysis. So, we're considering alliance with psychological extremophiles because they offer crisis management capabilities we lack. Colox's skin flushed with colors indicating profound discomfort. That seems dangerously close to admitting evolutionary inadequacy. The chamber fell silent, until broken by Drome Magnan's crystalline laughter. That's precisely what troubles us. The Silicon Collective representative's facets sparkled. Not that humans might threaten us, but that their existence challenges our assumption of having achieved optimal evolutionary development. We're not afraid they'll harm galactic civilization. We're afraid they've found a better strategy. Absurd, burbled Bark, but biochemical indicators revealed his uncertainty. Before anyone could respond, the communication system activated with urgent information. 3 separate council member species had independently approached the human delegation, requesting private, technological and cultural exchanges. Without council authorization, "This is unprecedented," whispered Moravec. "No violation of council protocol has occurred in 7,000 cycles. They're infecting us with their chaos." Quillec's tentacles writhed in distress. "No," corrected Tetskzalin. "They're exposing desires for adaptation that we've suppressed beneath our stability protocols. The humans aren't changing us. They're revealing what already exists within our civilization." The council elder activated the station's communication array, establishing contact with the departing human vessel. The copper-skinned diplomat appeared on the display. "Council elder," she acknowledged, "we didn't expect further communication so soon. Your delegation has been approached by council representatives seeking unauthorized exchanges," stated the elder. "This violates our most fundamental protocols." The human's expression remained neutral, though something in her eyes suggested she had anticipated this development. "We received several inquiries, yes. We informed each party that while we appreciate their interest, we would only proceed through officially sanctioned channels." The biochemical indicators throughout the chamber registered collective surprise. "You declined opportunities for advantage?" The elder's antennae curved in the configuration indicating skepticism. "We declined opportunities for division," corrected the human. "Whatever relationship develops between humanity and the Galactic Council should benefit all parties." After terminating the communication, the elder addressed the assembled representatives. "We face an evolutionary divergence. unlike any previously documented. The humans have developed advanced technology through a fundamentally different relationship with adversity. The question, added Titstalin, is whether we can incorporate their adaptability advantages without compromising our stability foundations. The greater question, corrected Dramagnon, is whether we can afford not to. The galactic anomaly represents exactly the type of novel threat our evolutionary strategies are poorly equipped to address. The Council Elder performed the gesture, indicating provisional conclusion. We will establish limited collaborative protocols while maintaining necessary safeguards. As the representatives departed, Titstalin remained with the Elder, waiting until the chamber had emptied before speaking. There's something we haven't discussed openly, he said quietly. The humans know we fear them. Fear is an imprecise translation, replied the Elder. We recognize potential threat. No, insisted Zzelin. They perceive our discomfort with their comfort with chaos, and they're using it. Their entire diplomatic approach is designed to showcase the psychological resilience we lack. The Elder's antennae curved in the rare configuration indicating personal rather than official communication. Does that not confirm they represent a threat? It confirms they understand us better than we understand them, replied Titstalin, which suggests alliance might benefit us more than them. Meanwhile, aboard the departing human vessel, the diplomatic team reviewed the Council's psychological profiles with amused recognition. They still don't get it, do they? Asked the communications specialist. They think we chose to be this way. The copper-skinned diplomat smiled, genuinely this time. They can't comprehend that what they see as our advantage was forced upon us by Earth's brutal development conditions. They evolved in stable environments that rewarded caution. We evolved in chaos that punished hesitation. Should we tell them, asked another team member, that we envy their stability as much as they envy our adaptability? Eventually, replied the diplomat. But first, let them experience adaptation in action. The galactic anomaly will show them why humans tell horror stories to children, not because we enjoy fear, but because we know pretending threats don't exist never makes them disappear. She gazed out at the stars. The same indifferent cosmos that had forced humanity to evolve its peculiar psychological resilience. The difference between humans and the Council isn't that we're braver or stronger, she mused. It's that we never had the luxury of believing the universe was safe. Behind her, the ship's displays showed the first detailed readings from the galactic anomaly, readings that would soon confirm why humanity's relationship with fear might become the galaxy's greatest asset. Some threats require facing directly, and humans had been practicing for that moment since they first gathered around fires and whispered stories of monsters in the dark.